At the time of my making this recording, Syria has fallen to purported liberators who have severed the lines of supply between Iran, Lebanon, and Palestine in terms of weapons. These men are rumored to have been involved in deputies of ISIS and Al Qaeda, intolerant, extreme right wing fundamentalist factions. I know very little about the Assad government that was overthrown. But I saw on a British Workers' Party broadcast an Iranian intellectual who was remorseful, despondent regarding this defeat of what is called the axis of resistance, saying, at least for the moment, that in the celebration of the West, because Nosferatu was emboldened to break down the barriers and occupy the Golan Heights, once belonging to Syria. There's rumors that he's going to try to crush and occupy Lebanon. Toon is coming into power with a group of men who want to destroy Iran. So many people have felt what this Iranian professor expressed, which is that the delegitimization of Israel caused by their Holocaust against Gaza has been forgotten in the drunken spree of celebration that attends the fall of Syria. I have never trusted the axis of resistance because they were silent throughout my ordeal with the Israelis who wrote the Texas School Book. Jeff Corporation has been an Israeli source of Japanese propaganda for Yoko Ono, in which even the heroic sisters of Palestine engrossed themselves and now are suffering the consequences. I'm not sure that it's wise to mourn the loss of Syria as a defender of the Palestinian people or not. I know that Hamas cooperated with Nosferatu in setting this march of cruelty and sadism and Zionist Nazism into play for Biden and Toon, for what has of late become called the U.S. government, about whom we are told we are naive. I'm making this recording in defense of the good works of America. First and foremost, to underscore that the people we are talking about when we say American good works themselves have long since been betrayed by Israeli propaganda and Japanese propaganda operating out of the Jeff Corporation and Seattle, Washington's UW dialectical spinner beanie faction. I'm not saying that the good works of America persistently outshine the evildoers among us, for they do not. They are just very steady in their gaze and shall continue to be steady in their gaze against Israel's abomination visited on the fair women, children, and men of Gaza. So I do not share the despair of the moment that the delegitimization of Israel has been forgotten in a drunken spree of celebration for who knows what. ISIS rock stars or something. What I want to address instead is the persistence of good works in the United States of America. For there were such white people as Elijah Lovejoy. There were women who banded together and petitioned and struggled to try to help the Native Americans on the Trail of Tears against Andrew Jackson. Sometimes they have prevailed. Sometimes they have been martyred. Sometimes they have been treacherously backstabbed. The style of what Nosferatu pulled was a quaint, good old-fashioned Israeli backstab coming out of Turkey at Syria. That should give us pause. For there is a sort of Turkey within in Seattle, Washington, backstabbing Eleanor Roosevelt. The Turkey within Seattle, Washington cooperated with Japanese propaganda from the Jeffin Corporation throughout the AIDS attack. They made it into a satire, a program of theater to amuse themselves. Despicable. And Gaza is paying the price, make no mistake. But let's discuss the idea that clearly entertains Nosferatu, most of all, and has gotten the better of Joseph Biden, and of course, the Clowniac, the Ripper Hatters of Tune and Tune to Come. This is the idea that the world revolves around Israel, which it does not. The world would never revolve around such a cesspool. Israel is an apartheid state. It's a grand mausoleum of dinosauric pseudo-consciousness. But there's something to be confounded in this absurd legacy they call Israel, which is that some of America's good works, indeed some of America's finest works, were in defending, protecting, and liberating, and freeing, and ultimately assimilating the Jews of Europe who were ferociously attacked by a mind much like Nosferatu, Adolf Hitler. There can be no question that a dominant currency in American political policies today is the idea that crime pays, that we're out to win by any means available, that fulfillment of our dreams comes at the cost of our courage, humanity, and dignity. Nosferatu has played fast and loose with this idea that to the winners go the spoils. Since this is so persuasive of a master narrative, and of course, master narrative is income in these dark and dirty times, one can, while getting the better of their laugh, stand up to the notions in sway. To the winners go the spoils requires us to identify what we mean by the spoils. One of the spoils of struggle and courage is to know the difference between right and wrong. Nosferatu, who attacked Fulton Elementary School with the help of a psychiatrist from Attica State Prison wielding neurotraumatic nerve agents to amuse the Turkish backstabbers in Seattle by tormenting and deafening me. He sought to make me into a puppet, a road show, something that Oliver Stone and Noam Chomsky could laugh at as lewd, wriggling-fingered Jew boys working with Pope Karl, the parochial savage. They paid for and sponsored attacks of the greatest intimacy to cover for by lampooning their own role in the AIDS attack. And this is a matter of history. This is a matter of fact. This is the truth. And knowing that it is wrong is one of the spoils of the good fight. It is wrong to do that to your neighbor. Knowing what people think helps you identify what they can be persuaded to understand about themselves when they are wrong. The spoils of the good fight meant building courageous, well-attended, protective, empowering public schools, welcoming young black girls, young Arab girls, and of course the daintiest of the most sheltered white girls. The men who protected the boys by teaching them calisthenics, by teaching them to think properly about their obligations in building a family. The home economics teachers were all subverted by Jewish rowdies like Martin Handelman and Thomas Gordon at the school that I attended. These were the zeros within that Tacoma has come to think so shiningly of, that they have given Seattle and Obama a free hand in tormenting and isolating and amusing themselves at the expense of my fright from having been molested as a child repeatedly by the Zionists within Pittsburgh, a cruel and stupid city, easily matching Seattle's poisonousness with animosity and the gloating word of Germany, Schadenfreude, all their own. Pittsburgh will never rival Nazi Germany, but the fact that it tries to offends and amazes a man like me. Good works come in many forms. The good works of Richard Wright, I have no doubt, would cast the gravest of aspersions on Israel over Gaza. The good works of Martha Gellhorn and the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, I have absolutely no doubt, would cast aspersions on the dignity, courage, meaning, justification, and even the right to exist of this monstrosity, this behemoth built by Nosferatu. So gloat all they want to, gnash your shields, celebrate, drink yourselves funny. But Gaza is far, far, far from being forgotten.